Good morning and welcome to our video today from Yoker Evangelical Church. It's Wednesday the 24th of March, and in our Bible reading plan this morning we read from Proverbs chapter 11 and Ephesians chapter 4. I want to take a quick look at one verse from Proverbs chapter 11. But first, just to say, we're probably now in the bit of Proverbs that we're most used to, that we think of when we think of Proverbs. Chapters 1 to 9 are kind of getting ready to read the rest of Proverbs. It's teaching us about wisdom and how we can follow it. It's teaching us why it's a good idea to fear the Lord. Chapter 10 onwards is, like you've seen, these short sayings that are they are little proverbs. They are little things that we are almost meant to be saying to each other and saying to ourselves so that we can live this wise life as we try to follow God's wisdom. And it's worth saying, just as we begin reading them, that while they are very wise and they are general rules, they are not promises. They are just general wisdom for life. So the pattern that we see often in Proverbs is that if you do good and you work hard, you will have a good life. If you do evil and if you're lazy, you will have a tough life. And that is generally true, isn't it? In life, the people who do good, work hard, tend to succeed. The people who do evil and are lazy tend to have a more difficult time. That is generally true, and it is wise, but it is worth saying it is not always true. There are plenty of exceptions, and the Bible acknowledges this. I'm glad that we read Job before this, because there is a man who lived the Proverbs wise life and yet who faced enormous suffering. And so it's just helpful to have that in mind as we're reading Proverbs, that yes, it is wise. Yes, I should be applying it to my life. But if I do it, it is not a promise that I will have a good time. It is not a promise that I will prosper and succeed. We also find that in Ecclesiastes, that these rules do not always apply. But let's take a look at one of those rules and see what wisdom it does have to give us today. I'd like to look at Proverbs chapter 11 and verse 7. There it says, "Hopes placed in mortals die with them, all the promise of their power comes to nothing." Now, at first reading, this is just general wisdom for anybody. You don't have to be a Christian even to take something away from that. It is just wise. And it is a truth. If you trust in somebody who is mortal, who can die, then you are setting yourself up for disappointment when they die. If you put too much hope in any individual, then your hope can so easily be taken away. That is just true in life, isn't it? We see countless examples of when a famous person dies or a leader dies, people feel despair because the one who they had put so much hope in is gone. So Proverbs offers this wisdom. Don't trust. Don't place all of your hope in something that can be taken away. Don't do it. You'll be disappointed. But I think it also pushes us further. It pushes us to say, all right, if you can't trust in people who are going to die, then who can you trust in? It pushes us to look for something better. And it pushes us actually to look for someone who cannot die. As we're coming up to Easter, we remember that Jesus is not dead. That even though he died on the cross, 3 days later he rose from the grave. And unlike the other people in the Bible who are raised from the dead, Jesus did not die again. He is still alive. Physically, his body is still living. He is no longer mortal. He cannot die again. And as we come up to Easter, we remember that truth. And actually, Proverbs 11 helps us to say, yeah, it is better by far to trust in the one who will never die, who will never disappoint me by not being there, who will not fail when his life comes to an end. There is a great song by a man called Shai Lin called "Jesus is Alive." And in the chorus of that song, he just lists famous people who people might look to for inspiration. So he lists Elvis and Brando. He lists Plato and Darwin, Buddha, Nero, Judas, Pontius Pilate. He lists all these people, and after every name, he says they're dead. But at the end of every chorus, he comes back to the same basic truth that the song is explaining. Jesus is alive. He is better by far than all these other leaders, than any human we could put our trust in, because he alone is alive now and forever. So we can trust in him, because hope placed in him will never die. I hope you have a great day today, and God bless.